interested with U.S. immigration? Can Donald Trump give you a green? Hey guys, before you file for your spouse, come on, Williams. All right, here we go. Good morning, guys. I'm live this morning. It's post-election. Trump won the election last night. I was up until 3 a.m. because I had to listen to the speech, okay, the victory speech. We're going to talk about this Trump win. He won. Now what? What does it mean for immigration? I have a lot of great thoughts that I'm going to be sharing with you guys in this live session. So come on in, type in freedom now. It is still freedom now. It is still freedom now. Okay. That hasn't changed. Okay. Still freedom now. And last week on YouTube, some of you were very angry with me because I told you that I thought that Trump is going to win. And I shared my thoughts politically. And for those of you who stuck with me, even despite hearing those hard words last week, thank you for sticking with me. We're going to talk about what is on the Trump agenda for immigration. So come on in, type in freedom now, and let me know where you're watching from. Last night, I consider it a mandate, okay? Thank you. It's a mandate, guys. It's a mandate. And we're going to talk about, okay, he got this mandate, right? I mean, right now he's at 276. He's expected to win Michigan. We're still waiting on Michigan. We're still waiting on Nevada. We're still waiting on Arizona. Alaska, still waiting on. But, those are leaning red right now. And New York Times had a really terrific scale last night on its homepage. And even before they called Pennsylvania for him, New York Times had him at a 95% probability of winning. So, and then they had all of those other states leaning red. Okay, so this is definitely a mandate. He also won the popular vote. So Americans connected and they raised their votes and voices. And now we have an opportunity to think about, well, what does this mean for immigration? What does it mean for me? And what does it mean for, your family, your friends, and all of that? So if you're joining today on McBean Immigration TV, you're going to see a little bit more than others who are joining by social media, but listen in and follow along. But if you heard the victory speech last night, you heard it start off, Trump started off with, we're going to have to fix the borders, of course, heal our nation. This is a political victory that we've never seen before. I will fight for you, your family, and your future with every breath in my body. This will be a golden age of America. I will not let you down. Success will bring us together. This is a noble and righteous endeavor, time for unity. So you heard all of those things. I will govern by promises made, promises kept. And so, that's what he promised last night. Now, we know, however, from the immigration side of things, that he has a very, very, very harsh approach to immigration. And with his approach to immigration, it's going to impact both legal and illegal immigration. And I'm going to break it down for you. In January of this year, I said, guys, things are about to get really serious with immigration. And in that video, I broke down for you the policies that were on the agenda. I have more information in this video about those policies. Also on October, what's that date that I did the live session in which some of you were upset with me? October 25th, okay? If you watch that video, I go into a lot of details about the mass deportation plan and why I don't think it's going to work. So I highly advise that you go and watch that live session from October 25th on McBean Immigration TV called Latest Immigration News, Trump's mass deportation of 11 million people. So watch that, because I think when you really sit and think about the policy of mass deportation, you'll realize that you really shouldn't, you really need to understand who it's really going to target and whether it can work or not. So really watch that video. Now let's get into it, guys. So here's the map, right? Here's the map showing that Michigan is still leading red, Arizona is still leaning red, Nevada and Alaska. Okay, so they haven't called those states, but he did flip Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Wisconsin last night. Now, what are the items that are on his agenda? Let's talk about his agenda first, and then I'm going to talk with you about other possibilities that will be added to his agenda in January. Now, jump on McBean Immigration TV on YouTube to see my little notes here. Let me share the screen with you guys on YouTube. Now, the first agenda item is the mass deportation, right? Mass deportation using local law enforcement, the National Guard, military, and obviously punishing sanctuary cities by withholding federal dollars, tie barring those federal dollars with these sanctuary cities agreeing to enter into various policies with the federal government to turn people over or report folks over who are arrested who do not have a lawful status in the United States. When you think about this idea of mass deportation, I want you to split it into two categories: interior enforcement versus exterior enforcement. On the interior side of things, inside of America, that it's going to be a long and hard process to deport people, okay? On the interior, long and hard. But on the exterior, when we talk about exterior enforcement, we're really talking about those who show up at the border. Very easy to enforce the expedited removal or deportation of those individuals. So that's fast and easy. The exterior enforcement versus interior, long and hard. Because if you're here in the United States and you're going through removal, you have constitutional due process rights before an immigration judge, and there are not a lot of them. And it's hard to recruit those people. It takes the Department of Justice a long time to find the right people. So it's long and hard, okay? And if you have a relief in court, great, you'll be able to stay here. So interior versus exterior enforcement. The next issue with the mass deportation is that the new Trump administration plans to shift federal dollars and resources to DHS, ICE, Customs. They are going to take from other agencies' budget and put it in law enforcement, immigration law enforcement agencies, and more Border Patrol agents. Again, I go into a lot of details in my October 25th live session. Go watch that on McBean Immigration TV about the mass deportation plan. Now, the second agenda item that they have made quite clear is that they plan to do more workplace raids. But, what does that look like? You guys have seen maybe clips on YouTube or TV in which agents just show up at, I don't know, like a mushroom farm or an employer that has a large number of migrant workers, right? And raid those places. Why is this idea of workplace raids so important to the Trump administration? Well, they want more jobs given to Americans, but we know that Americans are not taking those jobs, right? We just know that. But it still puts that image in the minds of Americans that, oh, Trump is being tough on immigration. They're raiding these workplaces. There's that. Now, legal immigration. Here's how it will impact legal immigration. With legal immigration, guys, what they're talking about doing is ending programs like temporary protected status, TPS, which is hard to do, takes a long time to do it. He was not successful during his first administration with rolling back TPS, but that's on the agenda as well. So as you guys know, there's temporary protected status for countries like Haiti, countries like Venezuela, Ukraine, Nicaragua, and I think Nicaragua, I'm not sure about that, but and some other countries, okay? Not very many countries have TPS, but the ones that do have TPS, it makes a significant difference to those who are here, living here, and need a work permit to work lawfully, all right? Now, that's legal immigrant. That's how it hit the agenda touches legal immigration, because temporary protected status is a legal process, although it's temporary. The next agenda item is closing the border, remain in Mexico policy. Very easy to do. They did it under Title 42. They're likely to do that again. Not sure if it's going to, I don't think it's going to be under Title 42. It could be under another, maybe by executive order of some sort, but remain in Mexico impacts those who are outside trying to come in. So you're not really going to feel that, if you're here on the interior of America. The number 5 agenda item that I have here is travel bans. Travel bans to Muslim majority countries based on national security issues, right? And they want to reinstate and expand on the travel bans that they had in place. Now, you guys know that some of these ideas were part of the first term, and there was always litigation. So we expect that for many of the ideas here, there will be lawsuits, litigation to fight, right? To fight some of these things like the travel bans, but expect travel bans, and this will impact your families who are in those Muslim majority countries who are trying to come back into the United States, okay? Then the 6th agenda item is expanding the border wall. Again, that's not really going to impact you in a very real way, but if Congress decides to pay for it, they plan to continue the construction of the border wall. Right now, as of this video, the filming of this live session, I should say, we're still waiting on the results from the House. We don't have the results from the House. We know that the Senate has been flipped. Its Senate is majority is being held right now by Republicans. The Republicans now control the Senate. And I'm holding out on the House. Okay, the House, we need the House to not, we need the House to be Democratic, guys, because with that, at least there will be some degree of check. We need a check, all right, check in the system. So we're still waiting on the House results. The 7th agenda item that we know about is ending birthright citizenship via executive order on day one. And with that type of, with the plan that has been discussed, a child who is born in the United States must have at least one parent who's a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. If he does this executive order on day one, which many are expecting him to do, this, guys, you could almost guarantee it's going to, the lawsuit, this is going to be challenged significantly because this is a constitutional issue. All right. So this is going to be litigated and tied up in maybe to the Supreme Court, which brings me to the reality that with the Supreme Court now, obviously some folks are going to be retiring, and Trump will have an opportunity to put more conservative judges on the bench. All right. So when I had said in January, things are about to get really serious with immigration and you should prepare, and here are the policy items, many of you did listen to that. And you started working with an immigration lawyer to get your house in order. But for those of you who do not have your house in order quite yet for immigration, and you're here on the interior of America, if you're ever caught up in deportation inadvertently, your deportation is going to be a slow, long, hard process. Not unless you already have a removal order or you have a serious felony on your record, that or you have multiple illegal entries into the United States. In those circumstances, it's going to be a faster and easier way to deport individuals like that. Going back to mass deportations for just a second, guys, Trump did indicate that, let me jump back on, he indicated that the focus in the beginning will be criminals, people with a criminal history. And so those ones are easier to track. Those who have gang affiliation, those who are, who are known to ICE, and there are a lot of people known to ICE who have already committed homicide and then some other serious crimes. So it's going to be easier for them to really try to go after those individuals. Now let's get back to the presentation here on McBean Immigration TV on YouTube. Now, here's some other possibilities that I've thought about. Okay, this is just me speaking here. Other possibilities based on what happened during the first administration. The first possibility that we should think about is ending prosecutorial discretion, which is an opportunity for people who are going through deportation to negotiate with DHS on some sort of agreement to dismiss their immigration court process and free them from removal. For others, it's reopening their old case in court and ending the deportation order, right? And during his first term, that was something that they shut down. So we're expecting them to do that again. I am expecting them to do that again. The second possibility is USCIS. USCIS is still mandated to process your immigration applications. It's a mandate by Congress. So they will still be doing their work. But certain policies will be impacted, guys, like interview waivers. Right now, we're enjoying a really nice time where a lot of interviews are waived. And so it's possible for policies like that to certainly shift, and they can make it harder, longer for folks to get their benefits, kind of slow things down a little bit. Maybe, not the USCIS is funded, friends, by your application file work. I don't expect them to just try to cut the workforce to intentionally slow down your cases, because they have the resources and they've recently increased the filing fees to hire more people to have a better process. Okay. Now, let's see, I'm going to mute my system. Let me know, guys, on McBean Immigration TV. I don't see your comments because I need to really concentrate here. I didn't realize that you guys were here in the system clicks and all of that. I've just muted it. So hopefully that's better for you. Okay. The third possibility will impact students, international students. I'm expecting there to be a crackdown on international students. Similar, you're seeing it in Canada and in other countries. During Trump's first term, he also cracked down on international students, and in particularly their working opportunities here in the United States through OPT. Yes, you heard a few months ago, just off the cuff, Trump said something about, oh, I think it's a good idea to give green cards to everyone who graduated from a college here in the US, right? That idea, guys, is likely not to be enforced, in my opinion. It's hard to enforce that. But cracking down on international students includes the work opportunities for them, and also cracking down on foreign workers, H-1B. Forbes did a terrific breakdown of this issue of how Trump's immigration will impact foreign workers. I highly recommend that you check out the article, Trump's Immigration Plans May Upend Student and Immigrant Applicants, Forbes.com. I think it was from today or yesterday. And in it, the article talks about the fact that Trump officials could thwart individuals who apply for or wait for employment-based green cards by using regulatory means to price their salaries out of the labor market. What does this look like? It looks like instead of a job being at a certain salary level right now, they could say they could double it and say your foreign workers need to meet this threshold. You employer, you US citizen employer must pay these people this higher wage. And most employers will be they're not going to do that, right? Because it cuts into the profit margin. But in this article on Forbes website, they say that in 2020, the Department of Labor published a rule that significantly raised the minimum wage required for employers to pay H-1B visa holders and employment-based immigrants via the Permanent Labor Certification Process known as PERM. As a result, the DOL rule in many cases increased the minimum salaries by up to 100%, with employers required to pay $208,000 a year for over, this is cut off on my end, but in any event, for certain occupations and geographic labor markets, regardless of the skill level and position. So this is how they could cut back on foreign labor competition. Okay, so Forbes is, you know, they did a good job outlining it. Now, another possibility that I've added here to my list is, of course, ending parole in place for spouses of U.S. citizens, PIP, as I've been calling it, or PIP, as other traditional immigration lawyers call it. That's likely to go away. That's easy to do. And right now, yesterday, coincidentally, they had a great hearing with this case. Okay, great hearing. And I've been telling you from day one, I feel good about the litigation process involving parole in place for spouses of U.S. citizens because Texas does not have stand-in. And yesterday, it was quite clear from what the judge had said and other things, the way that it went, that Texas really can't prove they have stand-in for this. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be available to people in January once Trump, takes office. It's very easy to stop that policy. So I'm expecting them to stop it. What I'm really hoping and praying for right now, certainly, is that the judge will give us a quick decision. I still think it's going to be a fast one. A quick decision to open up the opportunity for USCIS to quickly approve some people. Okay. Right now, they've only approved 8 nationwide. 8. And so we're hoping that they will open it up to approve more people before the new administration comes in. So stay tuned, guys, on the parole in place for spouses of U.S. citizens. I've already talked about TPS holders. The idea is, I'll come back to your questions momentarily. Now, lastly, the last possibility that I've added to this agenda is slowing things down at the U.S. Embassy level. And that could be by policy. We saw it happen because of COVID. I'm not certain how they would possibly, enforce that globally quite yet. Not unless it's by some sort of executive order. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that one, but I threw that on my list of possibilities because of what happened during the first term. Okay. So guys, those are the agenda items. The first set, we talked about agenda items from Trump. And then let's get the comments here. And then hold on one second. Let's see. Can you guys hear me better now on YouTube? Is it better? Okay, now I see. Now I'm seeing that on YouTube. It wasn't. Guys on YouTube, is it better now? Let me know, guys, in the comments if it's better. Okay, apparently on YouTube there was an audio problem all this time. Are you guys hearing loud and clear now? Yes? Sorry about that. Okay, you guys may have to watch this on Instagram later, okay? Watch it on Instagram. It's better? Perfect. Thank you. All right. So, great. Okay. So, that sucks. YouTube, sorry. Whew. All right. Now, what questions do you guys have? We just ran through agenda items that's on the Trump immigration agenda, in addition to some other policies that I think will be placed on the agenda. If I was on that transition team right now, I would throw in some of what I've already shared, what I've shared as far as my ideas. Okay. Now let's see. Let's talk about. Do you think Trump will terminate the DV program? Where I'm only taking questions this morning on the Trump win. Sorry, YouTube. Uh, um, uh, I don't think so. I think that first of all, there are some things that Congress will need to do. There are some changes that only Congress can make. Okay, there's only some things that they can touch, like DV lottery, public charge. Andrew is asking. Andrew, we went through. I was like obsessed with public charge when Trump was in office the first term, and there were some very scary and tough requirements regarding people who are applying for a green card or an immigrant visa to come into the United States to prove a certain income threshold, the applicant, and the fact that the applicant had not tapped into federal resources. Okay. Um, Instagram, am I still good with you? Let me know. I know the glare is awful. Let me try to shift gears here. Just give me a second here. It's still bad. This is an ad hoc setup, okay? This isn't the usual, so bear with me. I know that it's not great this morning. Um, Public charge, yes, I think public charge could actually be on the agenda, and I'm going to add that here, number 8, so that I could talk about that next time I'm live. I might be back live before you guys tonight because McBean Immigration TV, they had bad audio earlier. So public charge, possibly, okay? Um, let's see, what other questions do you have about the Trump agenda? Someone is asking, hold on a second. What if you get caught in deportation and you're going through, where's that? You're going through a T visa application process, something like, is that what the question is? I lost the question because they're all coming in fast now on McBean Immigration TV. So, if you're already going through an immigration process, guys, you have the right to keep going. You have the right to keep on keeping on with your case. All right. But it doesn't mean that, and USCIS certainly is the one that will make a decision on a case like the T case. But if you are going through an immigration process, whether it's T, whether it's VAWA, whether it's a marriage based green card, and ICE detains you, you have a right to get a lawyer to get you out because there's something called mandatory detention. Some people, they have to hold based on their criminal history. They have to hold them. They're not going to give them a bond to get back out there onto the streets. Regular average folks, most people are not subject to mandatory detention. So you can get out, you can get a bond, you can take your case before that immigration judge and argue that we need to maybe administratively close this until I get a decision from USCIS and my T case or whatever that case is, or we need to adjourn the hearing until we get an update from USCIS. If you have some sort of collateral or secondary relief going with USCIS, great, right? A judge will respect that. Okay. But like I said, for most people, they're not subject to mandatory detention. Okay. Only those who have a serious criminal record. Can they change the status of sanctuary cities? Sanctuary cities are run by local government officials like mayors and city council people and county legislators and those people, right? Local. They are the decision makers regarding what agreements their local jurisdiction can enter into with the federal government. But the federal government holds a big purse, and the federal government's big purse can say to you, New York, that we're going to try to withhold certain law enforcement dollars to police in New York unless you guys, it's a strong arm. They're going to strong arm certain cities. In my opinion, they tried to do that in the past. I don't know how successful they were with the strong arm. And I mean, sanctuary cities are still what they are. San Francisco, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York City, they're going to still be liberal. They're still going to oppose Trump, but it's going to come down to dollars and cents at the end of the day. And we'll see how this second administration is going to rev things up with the strong arming with regard to sanctuary cities. Okay. What happens with the COVID vaccination requirement? I expect that to stay. That's not going anywhere. It didn't go anywhere under the Biden 4 years. It's hard to get rid of these health related aspects with immigration. I was hoping that they would have under Biden, but they just did not get rid of it, which is unjustifiable because they allowed a lot of migrants to enter the United States without any COVID vaccine. So it's so strange. Okay. Thank you guys. Is he going to deport people who came through Mexico border? So if they, yes, right? Yes, the interior. I don't know if you guys heard me on YouTube earlier when I was talking about the difference between interior and exterior enforcement with this deportation plan. But if you're at the border, easy to deport you. That's, exterior. We're going to keep you out. You're going to fingerprint you for the record and just send you back, right? Or remain in Mexico. You're not coming in. If you're trying to come to the United States through a third country like Mexico, stay there and seek asylum there. You don't need to come here and seek asylum. That's really the argument there. But if you're here inside of the United States and you've been here for X amount of time, more than 2 weeks, and you're not within 100 miles of the border, then you're not going to be subject to this expedited removal, not unless you have you have a removal order or a dangerous background or multiple entries, illegal entries, and they catch you. Then it's easier to, remove an individual during that process. Biden needs to do an amnesty before he leaves, Jennifer's saying. So, Jennifer, in order to do that amnesty, they need Congress to weigh in on this. We're in lame duck. I don't expect anything to really happen on the way out. Right now, we're just hoping and praying that the judge in Texas will will weigh in favor of the government with PIP, parole in place for spouses of U.S. citizens, to give us at least a month, so to speak, or 6 weeks of relief so that USCIS can approve your cases that have already been filed. Thank you, guys. You have great questions. Are green card holders waiting for citizenship interviews at risk? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. We've talked about the legal immigration that I think will be impacted, and I think it's TPS. What else is on the agenda? TPS primarily. Some travel bans, Muslim majority countries, end in birthright citizenship, although that's going to be litigated. All right. Cracking down on international students, end in prosecutorial discretion, not being so generous at USCIS with waiving your interviews, removing PIP, parole in place, and then public charge, which I forgot to add to my list. So thank you for someone here who added that to the list. Thank you, guys. Let's go with your questions, okay? Thank you. Wow, a lot of questions. What about the U visa? If you're going through a lawful immigration process like the U visa for victims of crime, they are not going to touch you. U visa applicants, for many who we see and what cases we work on, some of you have a criminal record, some of you have a removal order, some of you have committed a great deal, many fraud and misrepresentation. Some of you have very, very big problems, and a waiver is available for you. You're going through your process, and you have that due process right to finish up your process and to get your waiver approved by USCIS during your U visa process. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. What's going to happen with parole in place? I've talked about that already. Let's see. All of this won't go into effect until at least January, right? So, you know, right, right. He's going to take office mid-January, and there are day one priorities: birthright, citizenship. Um, what else? The starting some mass deportation activities. It's not going to be mass. It's impossible. I still think that it's not going to work on a mass scale. It will just be revved up. That's how I see it, just a revving up. Um, okay. All right, guys. Okay. So some things will happen fast. Some things will happen, the executive orders, they probably already have drafts. If, obviously if you're working behind the scenes with campaign, and the legal transition team is assembling, they have some ideas, they have some drafts. So that's why on day one, it's easy to say, okay, here are 20 executive orders from day one, week one. The first 100 days, that's where you're going to see a lot of the activity. And that's just how it always is with a new administration coming in. Okay. Thank you guys on YouTube for your patience. I'll meet with you again maybe later today, to go through the agenda items that you guys didn't hear earlier. Okay. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Who are considered illegal immigrants? Seth is asking. People that came in with a visa, are they illegal immigrants? So, Seth, that's a philosophical issue, right? Because if and on in the Trump camp, certainly they believe that anyone who's here without a green card is illegal, right? They've broken the law somehow, even though millions, many, many millions came to America with a visa and overstayed. That's just a historical fact. Many, many, many more millions have done so versus those who came in through the southern border, from what I understand, data speaking here. So I think they think both of those camps are illegal. Okay. Um, both are illegal in their mind. All right. If for those who had filed for asylum and have been waiting for over 5 years now, is Trump immigration plan going to affect them? Gloria is asking. So Gloria, like I said, if anyone is going through an immigration process, you have the due process. You have a right to see it all the way until the end. There are just a few people who have some really significant things on their record that makes them deportable. And an immigration judge will consider any other secondary forms of relief that you're seeking, any form of relief that you're seeking at USCIS, and of course, before an immigration judge. So that's why interior deportation is longer and harder, like what we talked about earlier, okay? Longer and harder than exterior enforcement. We're still Trump is still, Kamala is at 223 now, and Trump is at 276. Michigan is still leaning in favor of Trump with 98% in. I don't know why they don't just call Michigan. It's 98% in. And then let's see. I'm going to pull this up so that you guys can see what I'm looking at here. Michigan is 98% in. Then we have Wisconsin is already flipped. Arizona, it's 63% in. Let's see. Let's go over to Nevada, 88% in. Again, also leaning red, leaning red. So, and then Alaska, of course, is going to be a Republican state. It's always Republican. Maine is still out. That's blue. It's always blue. So nothing to expect, nothing to look for there. Trump is still leading. He has a very large mandate, popular vote, 71 million. Kamala's at 66 million. Let's see. Let's come back here on the screen. Okay. So this is where things stand right now, 276 to 223. Okay. What other questions do you have? Will it affect my application for permanent residence through marriage? Been waiting since May of this year. I don't think that it will. I don't expect it to impact those of you right now who are going through a marriage case. I hope my expectation, certainly, I hope this comes to pass. I don't know. Um, is that USCIS will just waive your interview and approve your green card, okay? Like what they've been doing for a lot of people this year. All right. There's a, the policy, the people who are at the top at USCIS, Biden administration, the Biden administration, um, appointed those individuals, and they want to see you get your green card. Okay. So I hope that they will really speed things up and give you your green card. What about those who are on withholding of removal? You'll still have withholding of removal. You'll still be getting your work permit every cycle as you renew it. You'll still be here. An immigration judge has already made the decision within your case, and you have a lawful right to be here in the United States. I have not heard, I have not heard about any ideas um, to touch cases like that, because it will be so complicated for the government to do that, to try to get your case reopened. They're not going to take the initiative to do that. They're going to take the initiative to go after people with a criminal record who they already know about, people who are checking in with them. For those of you who do check in with ICE, we saw from the first term that some people, not everyone, it really depends on the culture of the office that you're checking in at, but some people were vulnerable to deportation during that time. But so they know about those individuals who are on their list, right? Of folks that they're watching. But keep going with your case. You have a withholding of removal case. So I think you're in good shape. I wouldn't be worrying if I was in your shoes. Okay. Thank you. What if there is a removal order, but have filed for asylum? Can I be removed? Well, if there's a removal order, the judge didn't approve your asylum case. So the fact that you had an old asylum case that the judge rejected isn't going to, be helpful right now. Okay. Um, let's see. Thank you, guys. Is he going to make it more difficult to get the I-601 waiver approved? Sabrina is asking. Sabrina, I think that, the lower level people at USCIS who are just civil servants, are they civil servants? People who are just, doing their jobs, right? You get what I mean. They're just doing their jobs. They're going to continue to just do their jobs. They have to look at your waiver. They have to consider based on the rules, right? For approving it. They have to use their discretion. There's still many of those people don't line up with the Trump agenda that we've just discussed. So they're still going to have to use their judgment and discretion with an I-601 waiver. Those people do not change. The only ones who change are the appointees, the political appointees. All right. You guys have some great questions today. Are asylum seekers, will they still be welcomed? No, they're not going to be welcomed. I'm not welcoming you, foreigner, to the United States administration. This is a no. The remain in Mexico policy is very strong. So we're expecting them to go back to that. And that doesn't, you know, yes, they're supposed to consider, usually, guys, if you've been following me for years, if you started following me in 2017, this is how I got my start when Trump became president in January 2017. My first video, Trump is second video. I will not share the first video with you guys. The second video was Trump is now president. Now what? Something like that, right? And um, I talked a lot about those executive orders. What you will see with an executive order is usually there are some exceptions at the very end, right? It doesn't apply to green card holders and US citizens or these people and these circumstances. So they have to, the drafters, these lawyers, they have to build in certain discretion for some people. So I'm expecting to see some of that, even with the Trump executive orders. Last night, he tried to strike a tone, I thought, this is my opinion, okay, of reconciliation. He wants to heal our nation. I will not let you down. Success will bring us together. I will govern by promises made, promises kept. Those are the things that he said last night. I will fight for you, your family, and future with every breath in my body. You know, it's going to be really, really interesting to see on the immigration side, because he also said that you can come in, this is last night, you can come in, but legally, you could come in legally, of course. They're going to have some exceptions in those executive orders, okay? Thank you, guys. Thank you, Michael. Your visa, TPS. We talked about TPS going away for some countries. The proposal to end. It's hard to get rid of TPS, but they have to justify it. Here's how it works, guys. With TPS, you have to justify that things are better. Okay? Things are better in these countries. I don't know who can make an argument that things are better in Haiti today. I don't know who can make an argument that things are better in Venezuela today, but they're going to have to come up with some arguments to justify ending TPS. They'll come up with something, I'm sure, but I think it's going to be very weak. It takes a long time to end things like that. Thank you guys for your these thumbs down. Oh, thumbs up, a lot of thumbs up too, but the 5 thumbs down on McBean Immigration TV. I appreciate your engagement. Thank you to YouTube. You're allowing YouTube to share this live session with many, many others. So good job on that, guys. Let's see, because there's a lot of MAGA folks here, which is fine. You know, you're always on my live sessions, but they don't disrespect me, which is great. Thank you, guys. Now let's see, let's keep going. What will happen to all the immigrants with the years of living in the country, paying taxes and not getting in trouble? For those many millions, Louis, I think you're still going to be here. You're still going to be here. The many millions will still be here. That's what I think. You're here. You made it through the first 4. Yes, this next 4. He understands Washington better. He understands politics better. He's an insider now, guys, by the way. Washington insider. They know how to get things done faster now. They ran a very strategic campaign with all its ups and downs. It was quite strategic, and it was incredibly effective because he got this mandate. I expect them to use those behind the scenes, and he tried to show us some people last night who are really behind the scenes, the brains behind all of this. I expect some of those people to be guiding things in Washington, but Washington still will be moving slowly because by the nature of bureaucracy, some things are fast with executive orders and other things are very slow. So the many millions will still be here in the United States. Okay, thank you guys. Good questions. Let's see. Will the visa bulletin move faster? I'm not expecting it to. But again, like I said, these people who are processing visa bulletin basically certainly is also based on Congress's mandate for visas that are issued in each category, and we can't go above the cap per category. So I think the visa bulletin, it is what it is based on the caps that Congress has set in place for each of those categories. But great question, though. I have been here since 1980 and have my green card. Will I be okay? Well, why aren't you a U.S. citizen, Diane? Right? Are you at the 5-year mark, or I don't know when you got your green card, but you have a green card, you should be fine. But if you have a green card and you're eligible for citizenship, become a U.S. citizen so that you'll be free from all of this. It frees you from immigration. All right. But certainly consult with a lawyer if you're concerned about your history before you seek naturalization, because under this administration, if you mess up and just I say, I'm just going to do what I want to do. I'm going to take the chance. I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to apply for citizenship. And then, as it turns out, the government actually did its homework and discovered that you got your green card incorrectly in the first place, and it could really be a problem under the new administration. So if you have any problems in your history with immigration, with getting the green card, speak with a lawyer before seeking naturalization, okay? EB2 will still be there. EB1, EB2, all of those are still there, still there, still there. Any good news on parole in place still? Yes, I shared earlier that yesterday they had a really good hearing and it looks very favorable. And I've been saying that from day one that I just kind of, feel that it's going to work out for you, but it's going to be a short-term victory, short-term victory. All right. With this. And I'm hoping that during this short-term victory with PIP, parole in place for spouses of U.S. citizens, that USCIS will move faster to approve cases. Right now, what we know is that they've only approved 8 nationwide, and we know many people have applied. All right. How will the new Trump administration affect a person who has overstayed their visa and trying to get adjustment of status? I think you'll still be fine. You still will be going through your process and you'll get your green card if you have a good case and you're eligible, okay? Someone says this is a bad day for undocumented immigrants. We have been there before. We have had bad days in our country, and I still believe we're going to get through this together, okay? We're going to get through this, but America spoke loudly last night, okay? Oprah Winfrey wasn't convincing. Lady Gaga wasn't convincing. Meryl Streep wasn't convincing. Taylor Swift wasn't convincing. You know what's convincing? How many grocery bags am I walking home with today after spending $200? That's what's going through people's minds. People know the difference. If you had a cart full of bags a few years ago and now today you're walking away with 2 bags in your cart, that speaks. They don't care about anything else but the money, the finances, their bottom line, their pockets. That's what they showed last night, guys. And so if you have an immigration case, I expect that your case will still be processed through this, because you have to have your case processed, a mandate by Congress. That will still happen. Okay? But Americans spoke loudly last night. It's a mandate. Okay? And the last time I used that word mandate was when George Bush won the second term. And he's like, oh, it's a mandate. And he was. This is a mandate, okay? So now let's focus in on understanding what the agenda is and be smart about how we approach things going forward strategically. Together, we'll get through this. We will get through this, okay? We will get through this. We got through it before. We will get through this, okay? We'll get through it again. Let's keep going. U visa. I've already answered questions about the U visa. You should be fine with your U visa case if you have a good U visa case. Okay. Oops. Let's get this going. TikTok. Okay. Perfect. All right. All right. Perfect. If you have an immigration case, stay under the radar. If you have an immigration case, you're on the radar. You can't have an immigration case and not be on the radar, right? BB, you're on the radar. You've put in an application to immigration saying, here's my name, here's my address, here's my information, here's why I'm eligible for this benefit. Now give it to me. That's the process. That process will remain. And that process, for some people, you work with your lawyer on, and it's still going to use, people are still going to be approved for green cards. People are still going to become citizens. People are still going to get their visa to come to the United States. Employers will still be able to hire foreign workers. Things will still be moving. But the agenda items we discussed earlier, some things will be impacted. Okay. Do I think prosecutorial discretion filers will have their information weaponized against them? Jorge is asking. So any application that you have submitted, whether it's to DHS ICE on a prosecutorial discretion level or to USCIS for a work permit or green card, any information you submit can be weaponized. But will it be? I don't think so. I do not think so. I think that from this, if you have, first of all, If you have a very significant criminal history with an aggravated felony, prosecutorial discretion is not something anyway that you would be seeking and eligible for. Okay, right? If you have a removable offense, removable, and you do not have a pathway to the green card, like a U visa waiver, which will lead to a green card many years later, then you're you wouldn't be eligible for this process called prosecutorial discretion. It just wouldn't make any sense. So if that information had gone into ICE regarding a removable offense, well, yeah, then it could be a problem for you because that aggravated felony um, can actually get you deported. Okay, but generally speaking, those who do a filing, like a VAWA case, a green card case, usually the government doesn't use that information against you. They're too busy. There are not that many people managing all of this. Okay. How about the waiver for I-751? Um, you'll still be able to do your waiver based on divorce. Like you've said here, you could still do that. What's going to happen with DACA? DACA is right now, as you know, at the Fifth Circuit level, waiting on their decision, and we're expecting it to go up to the Supreme Court, regardless of how it's going to shake out. Of course, I don't expect this administration to support DACA. I don't expect them to support DACA and TPS. I have a theory, guys. I don't know. We'll see if it comes to play. I have a theory that JD Vance might be the new immigration czar. What do you guys think? I've just been because he's a policy one. He could talk policy. He sounds smart and he sounds convincing. And he started the whole Springfield, Ohio Haitian TPS um, nonsense. But I think that he might be put in charge of immigration along obviously with Stephen Miller behind the scenes, but I'm thinking he might be up front and center with the whole immigration efforts. We'll see. We'll see if Trump thinks that he looks strong enough for this, right? But it's just my theory that he might be the one to be the new immigration czar. Okay. Um, Let's see. Let's keep going, guys, with your question. Can I still get married to a green card holder during this process, during this transition? Of course, you marry whoever you choose to marry. That's your personal decision. Get your cases filed if you're eligible for a green card, because now is definitely the time. I'm just going to just back it up a little bit here on McBean Immigration TV with this. Again, Trump's agenda items that we know of so far: mass deportation using local law enforcement, National Guard, the military. There's the difference between interior and exterior enforcement. Interior, those of you who have been here for a while and you're not within 100 miles of the border, it's going to be a longer and harder process to remove people in those here in America. Interior. Exterior, it's very easy. It's going to be through expedited removals. It's going to be a fast process for those who are outside trying to come in. This whole catch and release policy, that's not going to happen. I'm going to add that here. Catch and release will be a thing of the past. Then we have, I went into a lot of details in my October 25th live session, Trump's mass deportation plans. So go ahead and watch that on YouTube. It's very detailed. It's over 30 minutes long, and you really need to watch it if you're worried about mass deportation, because I think I did a good job of helping you guys to realize that it's not realistic. But it will happen on a larger scale, but not mass. Workplace raids to benefit American jobs, right, Americans, right, job prospects, and in temporary protected status, legal, which is a legal immigration change that he's talked about, countries like Haiti, Venezuela, and some others that has TPS. They've talked about ending those. Then there's closing the border, remaining in Mexico, policy to bring that back. bring back travel bans to Muslim majority countries based on national security issues. So reinstate and expand. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Nigeria, too, by the way, because there was a ban on Nigeria based on security concerns. And the Nigerians who are watching today can remember that there was also a Nigerian ban related to terrorism in the northern part of the justification at the time really was that Nigeria databases, they weren't sharing information with the US government about certain applicants, and their system was kind of backwards in terms of how they verify people's information. And so, therefore, we needed a ban on Nigerians coming into the United States due to national security threat issues. That's the gist of it. It's going to be interesting to see whether he tries to do that with Nigeria again and some other countries that are not Muslim majority countries. We'll see. Um, Expanding the border wall, of course, if Congress pays for it. Right now, the House is still up. We don't know how the House is going to shake out, despite the fact that last night Trump talked about that, oh, we won the House. That didn't happen. That hasn't happened yet. They won the Senate. The Senate is Republican controlled now. Ending birthright citizenship via an executive order on day one, in which a child must have at least one parent in the United States who's a green card holder or a US citizen. That's going to be litigated strongly. And then we also talked about what I'm thinking, other possibilities that they're going to add to their agenda, ending prosecutorial discretion, changing certain USCIS policies, making it harder to do the interview waivers, which will slow cases down, because if they're calling everybody back in for an interview, obviously that's going to impact processing times, it's going to be, I think, very frustrating. Then I also think that they're going to do another crackdown on international students and their work opportunities, like OPT, like what they did during the first term. The green card for students who graduate here in the US idea that Trump floated some months ago. I don't think they're going to enforce that. Cracking down on foreign workers like H-1B holders by making it harder for employers to afford these foreign workers by raising the threshold for the pay. Forbes is predicting that this is going to happen again. So read that Forbes article that you see here in my presentation. And then ending parole in place for spouses of U.S. citizens, PIP, slowing things down at embassies and public charge. Okay, those are the other possibilities that could happen under a second Trump term. So we're going to be wiser, smarter. We understand these things, and we strategically work together, right? Or you work together with your attorney to handle your case if you do have a case. For some of you, many of you don't have a case. Millions do not have a way right now. And I expect those millions and millions to still be here in the United States. I think I have a meeting that I've got to get out of here and get to for work. Okay. But I wanted to talk with you guys post-election. Trump won. It was a mandate. The American people spoke, and now we are working it out together, okay? Someone says that they say it's almost impossible to close a border. Where is that? Did I lose your question? I lost your question. Where is it? They say, oh, here it is. They say it was almost impossible to close a deportation order when Trump was in power. Yes, that's true. Will it be possible to close the deportation order with Trump if they approve parole in place? So so what we did, here's how we handled it during the first Trump term, when prosecutorial discretion wasn't anything we could have done then, just because of Trump's order to DHS, ICE, do not negotiate with these people, right? That's the thinking. Do not help them. So they shut it down. So we had to go directly to the Board of Immigration Appeals. For some people, they have to go directly to an immigration judge with their request to reopen their case or whatever that request is. So although ICE DHS will be tougher and not wanting to, they're going to have like a hands-off policy, not wanting to help very many people, you still have a recourse through other power players like a judge, if that's the jurisdiction, or the board of BIA, if that's the jurisdiction. But you'll need to work with your lawyer on such a strategy. Certainly, we will be doing more of BIA and more of immigration court judge motions to reopen, which is very difficult to do, but we've done it successfully for some clients. All cases are different, of course. Let's see, Trump stopping all money to sanctuary cities. Yes, they're going to be using federal dollar. They're going to threaten to withhold money, like to police, local police, which they, across America. I don't know if you guys know this. There's a sharing federal. They get these local police departments. They have grants. They get grants from the Department of Justice that they rely on for certain types of operations and other things like that. The feds can say, we're not going to give you this grant, right? Because you're letting dangerous criminals go when you arrest them. Look what happened to the nurse in Atlanta. Like, that's the rationale. That's how they're thinking about it. We'll see how it plays out. Okay, we'll see how it plays out. So it can impact local law enforcement from the standpoint of fewer police officers, right? Because some of these federal dollars, these local police departments rely on them to hire people, right? So that's how the sanctuary city issue, I think, will play out locally speaking. Newly married, I'm starting the filing process. Should I be worried? No, I do not think you should be worried. Keep going with your case. VAWA, what will happen with VAWA? Nothing. I think you can still move on with your VAWA case. Are green card holders concerned about mass deportation? They should not be. Let's see. I just applied for advanced parole. Will I still be okay? You guys, you're still going to be okay. You're still going to be okay. You're still going to be okay. What will happen to parole in place if now that Trump was elected, he's going to get rid of it, unfortunately. This whole litigation was really frustrating because so many more people could have been helped during this time, but the stay that the judge put on it was just unjustifiable, really, in my opinion. But I'm just really hoping that he'll make a fast decision and allow USCIS to process and approve more of your cases so that after you get your approval, you could apply for adjustment of status if that's the next step for you. Okay, so I still think that he's going to give us a faster decision. I know other immigration lawyers are saying, oh, it's going to take, it could be, but I still think, you know how I am, guys. I go a lot by intuition. And yeah, I just think that that's what's going to happen. That's my justification. I just think it. Just like I thought Trump was going to win. And I said it to you guys last week and you got upset with me. But thank you for sticking with me, despite me sharing my honest opinions with you. That Kamala wasn't a strong candidate. I shared that. You got very upset. Let's keep going. Oh my gosh, so many questions. What I'm going to do, because I've got to get to a meeting momentarily at the office, my day job, what I'll do is I'm going to go do my work, my day job, and I am going to come back and we're going to go through the agenda and I'm going to go through your questions. Like I said, we're going to go through this together like what we did during the first term. We're going to do this together. All right. So stay connected on McBean Immigration TV. Stay connected on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Just stay connected. We're going to get through this time together. Fear not, for I am with you, right? Not me, but God is with you. Fear not, guys. I will see you guys later today. And thank you so much for this. Share this with other people. And I'll see you later today. Bye-bye.